Hey, I'm Jeff Straw, here with another episode of The Breakdown. Today we're really excited on a couple of reasons. One, we've got two graduates here from Pyramind's program, and they did a really special track using sound sources that all of you guys have access to. They took all of the samples from our Office Space Parody, the Impact Sound Design blog, which you can get to right there. And they took these samples and, at my request, made this like incredibly cool track. So what I thought we would do is give them the opportunity to talk through the sound design, talk through the track, obviously play some of it, and just dig into your session and really break it down for you guys. So I'm here with Cole Smithers and Smoltron, also known as Brandon Roos. And without further ado, let's give them a little, I guess they already heard a little bit of the track, but we're gonna play a little bit of the track so we can kind of warm up here in the room. And we're going to talk through some stuff. So say hi, guys.
What's up?
How's it going? So we'll show you a little preview here, what we're working with.
Cool. So, I mean, right away, first and foremost, this whole thing was made from Impact Sounds.
Right.
Yeah, all using that sample pack that you guys provided us with there.
So we smashed a bunch of M audio keyboards and a bunch of other gear in Studio A.
Indeed.
Like a bunch of monkeys going crazy on something. And recorded it all in multiple mics. And you'd think oh, cool, that's great if you're going to make gunshot sounds or something. But instead, you guys took that and made this incredibly melodic track. Mm-hmm. Let's talk through the bass sound first, I think.
Sure.
Is what we wanted to go into first.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. So
take the floor, man.
All right, awesome. So this is the sound we're talking about here. I'll solo it for you. So
actually, let it play with the automation so you can get a little feel for the whole.
Yeah, so you can hear there's a little variety going on in there as it moves through. And so what we started with was this guy down here. No effects, totally dry. This is the original sample from the pack. So pretty different from what you're hearing, obviously.
Yeah, play that again. Right. I mean, that's just a boring little thud from something smacking something, right? So then...
Exactly. So our next
where's
step...
that go from there?
...is going to be... So this is where we're starting, right? The audio you have right here. And we're going to move over to this side. And this is... So what we've done is we've chosen just the tail of it because we want something a little more sustained to hold out. We didn't want you to hear the decay of the natural sound. So we took just nice even chunk here, warped it using texture mode, which is basically like granular synthesis, breaking it up into a bunch of tiny little pieces. And playing with the grain size and the flux can give you some really cool effects. But yeah, we settled around here at right around 70.
So if we mess with this one, it's not going to script your track.
No,
right?
Here, let's
play a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And the kind of walk through the experimentation of messing with grain size.
Yeah, so you can hear it spreading out a bit. I'm gonna give you a little more volume there. So you can hear how different it can sound depending on where you are in the grain size. So we liked it. It was nice and smooth right in there. And the transposition also changes things a lot too, so you can hear how deep that is compared to bringing it up to around plus 20. We settled on 19, but...
Nice. That's already starting to come together as a...
Right, and that's no effects, so that's
right.
just warping so far. And then if we move over here, we've got our effects chain that we can pop on.
So let's talk about corpus last, because that's what kind of, I think, affects it the most. So you
I'll
bring
go
up the
in
level
order
first, right, to get it level with the track using the OTT, right?
Right, so I'll kill that guy, I'll kill this guy, and then everything else is pretty benign, yeah. So,
benign.
Yeah, so you can hear the OTT's giving it some juice, giving it some beef. It's just a multi-band compressor preset in Ableton that you can pull out. And we've changed the settings a bit here. Brought the mids up a bit, pulled the bass back, and then we have Corpus here is tuning it into the key of our song. It's really important. So this is really one of the key effects we use when making our bass sounds out of these just smash sounds. So first of all, for bass sounds, we're using the tube material. That's important because the other ones will give you like bell type sounds. But the pipe and the tube are really good for beefing up basses. And what that's doing is it's basically modeling if you were running the sound through a tube or a pipe. So that's the effect that you're getting there. And then we're modulating the radius of that modeled pipe. And then it's tuned to the key of our song. I think that's E. I'm not 100% sure. That's what you get, then a little overdrive. There you go.
So do an A-B versus with corpus on and corpus off.
Oh, sure.
So you lose a little bit of that initial attack. It kind of smooths it out and spreads it out a lot.
Yeah, it's
right?
giving it a little more of that curl, kind of that, yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's the automation you see on that grid there. It's kind of shaping that initial transient.
Got it. And do you have that
Exactly.
automation drawn in somewhere that we can
Got it.
just take a quick peek at?
Should be right.
I mean, that's a kind of a... Oh, there you go. So zoom in on that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an integral piece of how it's going to play with the track, right? You can rewrite that automation to give different textures and rhythms to the bass throughout, right? And
Right.
that's
Yeah,
something
exactly.
that you guys do for like a phrase by phrase basis
Yeah, of course.
for your
of course.
arrangement. Cool.
Yeah.
So even that, like just play that little loop of what we see on screen right there. That's going to be pretty different. The third. Cool. So that's great. I mean, you took a like almost a kick drummy kind of an impact thud and turned it straight into a really gnarly dubstep like bass. Now, talk about the sub bass that you created to go with this.
Yeah, sure. So that...
And where does that come in the track?
Okay, yeah, so first of all, that bass, because of the corpus and the OTT, really carries its own weight. We didn't really need to give it its own sub-layer.
Okay.
But later in the track, when we thin out the actual top layer of the bass a bit, you're going to hear that we have this guy, which we've labeled the 808 here. So that has a little more standalone sub to it, and that's this guy here.
So we play the top bass from the second half, just so we can hear it.
Sure.
So you took a similar sample, or maybe even the same sample, and just kind of tweaked it differently?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the bass synth out here is, yeah, go.
Yeah, it's the same sample. It's just like
It
shaped
is.
differently.
Okay, so just play a little bit of that one.
Yeah, so it's
Just
just
like
auto
some filter
filter.
automation.
Nice.
Exactly.
That's a really nice effect. So that's rolling over, and then talk about this. Go ahead and Cole, talk about a little bit about that sub bass.
Yeah, so the sub bass started from the same sample and has pretty much all the same processing. The main difference is it's a really short chop of the sample, so it's just like a really short transient that's going into the corpus, and it just gives it a different envelope, I guess. Like if you were to just solo that and play it, really hear the difference. So you see, it's just like a really short clip, as opposed to the other one, which was like a longer, more sustained thing.
It gives you more movement within it, right? And this is more of
Yeah.
a tone.
Right. It's more like an 808 kick.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you can see we're doing very similar warping. The grain size is a little different. But then, yeah, for the effects, it's just much more low passed. So it's just the sub.
Got it.
And then
Still
since
running
it's-
through the overdrive and the OTT, and obviously the corpus.
Yeah, the
With
corpus.
different automation drawn in the corpus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're automating the
Similar
tune on this
settings?
also. Yeah, actually it's pretty different.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So you can see this is going to be a little more bottom right, where the other one was like top left. The radius was a lot higher. This kind of moves though
Okay.
as the sound goes on.
Got it.
And then this tune knob is changing notes this time actually, where it wasn't the first time. So it'll take like a half step up here and there. And yeah, so it's just a pitch to frequency chart can tell you what note each frequency would
It
be.
actually tells you like right there on the, see where it says
Oh, it
F0.
does. Yeah, so it's F0 or yeah.
See, that's why you guys
Right there.
work together.
Indeed, the beauty of collaboration.
Cool. Well, let's move on. What are we going to talk about next? I think some of these lead sounds were cool. A lot of the rhythmic percussion stuff, it's pretty clear that you took like, some glass scrapes and things like that for the hi-hats, and those kind of, you can sort of hear the original sample. You didn't do a whole ton. But these leads, again, they don't sound like they came from gear getting smashed. So talk to me a little bit about the lead sounds and how your workflow is on that.
Definitely.
There's two different leads, right? There's the kind of the first lead that's a little more atmospheric, and then the second lead in the
more
B
like
part
plucked.
that's more like plucked, right?
Yeah, and
Right.
it's essentially the same technique, which is just looping a really small part of the sample.
Yeah.
The pluck just has a different amp envelope in the simpler,
Okay.
and like it doesn't have reverb on it, so or just like a really short reverb, whereas the other one's like really washed out and atmospheric.
Right, so I'll play that for you. This is the washed out one. So as you can see, that's just a tiny little chop here.
So do you have that initial sample?
Or
did-
I didn't duplicate that out, but I can stretch it.
I don't want you to screw up the track, but I'd
Oh,
love to
it
hear.
won't. It
There's a
won't.
duplicate beneath it. It's the right
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. You did.
I thought you did.
You did. Sorry.
So again, just to get people thinking of like
Right, like
what they
where
can,
we
what
started.
where you can start these sounds and then where they can go from there.
Yeah, so this one's not grouped. But solo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So that's like the original sample, without being looped or anything.
Right. So somebody just loads a bunch of these things up into their sampler. It's like, oh, that's not terribly inspiring right away to just right.
Right, it's just
To
a
just
smash.
come in, and so then you've got to go through and really kind of work the sound design in order to pull something like this off.
Right, and this one's really easy though. Technique-wise, it's not anything too crazy all you got to do. Anywhere on this thing will work really, and you'll just notice as you hit these guys, as you tighten it up, it'll get higher and higher in pitch. So. Until you get something that sounds melodic. And then
Okay.
you throw some pretty typical, pad type effects on here. The overdrive's a little atypical, but it's a gritty song. So
Go ahead and then just kind of play
Why
through now
not?
with some of those effects on. And already, is your chorus set to a pretty wet? Or
Yeah,
one of
it's
these
about
set pretty wet?
50%.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you're losing a lot of that initial grit.
it's
the reverb's very high also.
Yeah, it's
so
at 100%.
yeah, we were going for some contrast with sort of the plucked sound against this. So we wanted it nice and smooth and long.
So the reverb is 100% wet? Is that what's going on? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
it moves around a little bit, but
So you're actually losing all of the initial impact and transient in favor of the wash.
yeah. So
and
yes,
that's
all-
then a stylistic choice that you guys made for this particular sound to fit with all the really aggressive stuff that's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
because this is layered right behind the pluck sound, which is really gritty. So we kind of have both of those layers going simultaneously.
So let's hear how those kind of sit in the mix together then,
Yeah,
now
sure.
that they know how those two sounds are made. Nice.
That's
Same melody part, same MIDI, right?
Yeah, exactly. We just copied and pasted the MIDI.
Perfect. That's really cool. And then speaking of the other lead, like let's just listen to a little bit of that pluck.
Yeah. Sure. So you could hear they were doing the same melody there.
Right. Is that the case throughout?
No, that's really the only part that happens.
Oh, I'm glad that's where we hit play then.
So yeah, so you can hear the contrast, and the pluck really is very similar, as you can see. It's not got quite the amount of reverb. It still has a lot, 52%, but
It's like a really short reverb.
Okay.
yeah, it's very short, so it's not covering it all up like the other one. But this may even be the same sample. It's a very similar
it is.
looking one, yeah. And so it's a very similar cut also, just very small there, and it's looping. But
Yeah, it's the amp envelope in the simpler. The sustain is at 0 and the decay is pretty short, so that's what's giving it that pluck sound.
So
Exactly.
play a little bit of that, like just kind of, and then while he's doing that, affect those or change the settings on the sustains to kind of walk it in the other direction.
Yeah, so
All of a sudden,
now
that's
it's
more of a
sustaining.
traditional keyboard sound as opposed to this plucked bit.
Yeah, so now
Cool.
it's like pluck.
Very cool. How'd you come up with the melody?
We just experimented drawing in different MIDI notes. Or I think we started actually on the keyboard. We kind of just like jammed out and like played it in because we already had the drums and the bass.
Okay.
yeah, so we knew what key we were in,
Okay.
and just kind of played around with different patterns. And
For Donner, is this in any mode?
is it?
It's in Aeolian mode. It's just minor. Yeah, so.
The one that everyone writes
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not going to grill you on that. That's fine. That's for him, not me. What else? I want to talk a little bit about the drums. I think mostly the kick, maybe a little bit about the snare, and then and then maybe just a little bit about the arrangement. But let's talk about the kick processing that you guys did and what you started with.
Sure.
Cool.
So, this guy. So it looks, our naming is a little deceptive. It sounds like we have a high layer and a low layer, but they're really both pretty deep. So this one is just a chop of the sample.
Okay.
And just low pass really hard. So this is just like an impact. This may be resampled though, because it's not transposed or anything. It doesn't look like. Yeah. So
that's one of the impacts, just with a slice chopped out.
Yeah.
And then the amp envelope affected the way you guys wanted to bring it in.
Right, I'll go to the face.
Is that what I'm looking at right there? No, that's an EQ filter. Sorry, I thought that was an attack envelope.
Yeah, so but that is the EQ, just to bring out that part of the sound. Basically, we wanted that. Yeah, the punch exactly.
Okay.
So
what's that at? What's that sitting at? Like 60 or something right there? It's hard. I can't really see it from here.
Yeah, it is.
80.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, a little higher than that, but
Okay,
right in that
cool.
area. So.
And then that's layered with another sound?
Yeah, and then this is layered with this guy right here, which, yeah, you can see this shows you a little more of the original. But yeah, just a short little impact sound, and we just cut out the part with the EQ, basically, that we wanted to make it into a kick.
So play them together?
Sure.
And then maybe if you can solo one out. Well, it's just like let the track roll and solo one in and out so you can hear the
Oh,
difference.
yeah, sure. So you can see with just the one, it's just a little weaker. Together,
Yeah.
they're just a little
And those are
stronger.
both panned just straight up the middle.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about panning on the rest of the sound design stuff. Are you guys pretty like bass center and then spreading your upper frequencies, the sort of semi-typical approach?
Yeah, that's
Are you
pretty
doing
much
anything
what we
funky
do.
with panning throughout?
Not really. I
Not
mean,
too
it's
much?
pretty, like the traditional like bass mono, and as you go up, it spreads out.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. What about the snare? What'd you use for snare? They had to play like a million choices, right?
Yeah, this is the
Given that-
easy part. Right? It all kind of sounds
We'll
like
end on
snares.
something easy.
But yeah, it's a nice little stack of things to get some different tails and impacts
Cool.
combined.
Oh, so you did a lot of layering instead of just picking
Yeah.
one
Definitely.
little
Right.
shot. Okay.
Like
So
layer
that's-
them and then pan them out. Like left
See,
and right.
you did do
Yeah.
some panning. I knew it. And I didn't even know it.
So there's one layer.
Yeah.
That's more like just a body, the impact, the meat of the snare. And that's
And
all.
Some like tail.
Yeah,
right?
all tail basically. So yeah, then all together.
That's cool. That's a nice little snare. And then are you compressing those all together? What are you doing? Is there any like bus
No.
action going
No,
on, or
there's
you
no
just
group
drop them all in?
processing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We're giving away free snares apparently.
Yeah,
Go
they
get
sit
'em.
nicely already.
That's cool.
So, yeah, and then the hi-hats are just tiny little cuts of stuff, and there's like 6 to 8 of them, and they just kind of go back and forth and trade off and play with each other a little bit. So
What I really want to talk about next is the drum rack that you guys created that you guys all get to download for free, which is really cool. So not only can they grab, anybody on the web can grab all the samples you guys use to start this thing, they can now get your processed samples to
Exactly.
go to town with, right? So I know sometimes when you guys write tracks, you'll kind of load up a drum rack and then use this as your creative palette to write with. That's not
Yeah.
really how you
Yeah.
did this track in particular.
Right. Yeah.
But why don't you walk us through what you're giving away here and what you guys did? Now you
Yeah.
said it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a sound pack that has drums, bass, and then like some risers and some chords. So yeah, I'll just like go through each sound
And then drop a beat.
yeah.
Do your thing.
Okay.
All right, cool.
So you got a kick drum, got your layered clap sound, some clicks and like a open hi-hat, 808s, some bass fills, and then another like snare sound. Like a pluck loop, and then there's another one.
And do those go with the 808 keys?
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, got some more basses, and then some chords like for an intro. Yeah, so. And then you've got like a riser right here. But yeah, so it's pretty much like all the sounds you would need to start like a basic arrangement. You have like the chords for the intro and then the riser to transition into the drop and everything.
So if you guys were going to maybe perform this thing out, would this be kind of the, you know, as a finger drumming performance, not just in a DJ set, would this be sort of what you would start with, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So you're the drummer, not me.
All right, yeah.
Rock a little
Here we
something
go.
like clearly different than what you created in the arrangement, but
Yeah.
the fun thing is then you could just kind of jam out.
Right. Yeah.
Go for it.
All right, we'll have at it. Yeah, so that's just a little
Yeah!
a really good outro there, but
That's sick,
kind of
man.
get the idea.
I do get the idea.
Um,
Thank you for that. That's really cool and inspiring too. Like that's a big part of who you are as a producer, right? Is that you take a lot of pride in practicing finger drumming, right? And
Right,
really
yeah.
kind of putting in the time. It shows. That's cool, man.
Thanks.
How do you practice?
Just mashing buttons, man. Just like loading up kits and then
You heard it here first. You mash buttons.
yeah, just like loading up cool sounds that
Nice.
inspire you and just just playing rhythms with it.
Cool. So out there in internet land, we'd love to see like if you guys come up with something and want to tag us in your videos or any tracks that you produce. Have at it with these sounds. Are yours to keep, yours to tweak, yours to play with. Just let us know what you make. We love seeing the community creating stuff around our content. So again, super creative. Like thanks you guys for like really coming to the table with a great track and a cool concept. And not only that, with creating a sound pack to give away to everybody. So go sign up for our email list so that you can grab these killer sounds. So once again, Cole Smithers, Brandon Roos, aka Smoltron. We'll have a link to their SoundClouds here on the blog and on YouTube. And again, I'm Jeff Straw with Pyramind, so thanks so much for joining us for another episode of The Breakdown. We love having you. We love doing these. Subscribe to our channel so that we can keep doing them, right? Let us know. Share the stuff. Let your friends know. Whatever you want. I don't know. Just subscribe, right? All right, cool. That's about it, guys. Thanks so much for coming out, man. This was really cool. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thanks for giving us the opportunity to work on it. It was a lot of fun.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, keep up the good work. We'll see you guys around here soon, and stick around. We'll be back with more.